What is happening? Welcome to another episode of the Nick and Alex Baseball Show, the show I wouldn't trade for anything. I am Nick Pollack, and I'm joined by the astounded Alex Fast. Hey, Alex.
I can't freaking believe it, Nick. Freaking believe it.
I mean, really? Really?
No, Nick.
The Orioles came back!
Listen, I went for a walk in the 8th innings. I had to go walk the dog and the baby. It's 3-2. Shane
walked
McClanahan's
the baby?
leaving the bump. Yeah, walk the baby. But she can't walk yet, but you put her on a leash and you just run. I came back not anticipating that we would be and Boston's about to lose.
I know, the moment has arrived. Fast.
We're about to be in 4th place in the AL East.
You're not going to find a complaint from me here. Status of what's going on in the AL East right now. We're going to talk about all of this in the context of buyers and sellers. This is the trade show. We are not going to be recording on Tuesday. Next week, we have the trade deadline. I'm going to be doing a live stream with Paul Sporer on this channel and on his as well. You can also find
in the suits.
In the suits, of course. And I promise you, mine will fit next week.
Boo.
And I'm looking forward to that. It'll be 4 to 7 next week on Tuesday the 2nd. And we'll be going to be recording Nick and Alex Baseball Show. I believe that night too, after it. But then in the just kind of going over everything that happened. But I'm excited for today. We're going to go over hypothetical trades. We're going to do all of the fun stuff. Just like, this is a baseball show. I realize that we have the segments that we like to do, but those are like the ones that we can pick and choose what we want to do each week, while also just doing the fun baseball stuff that we don't get to do on the corner. So I'm stoked for the show. You ready? You ready to do this today?
I'm stoked. I was. It's a fun thing because you can be wrong, but you can't be, because we're always going to be wrong. You know what I mean? There's going to be some team that comes out of left field, and that's going to be, that's the fun of the trade deadline.
Why is it always left field, huh? Why not right field sometimes? Why is it always coming out of left field?
That's a great question.
That's
a really great question.
Things don't just come out of left field. Like, right field exists. I'm here for the right field.
Yeah. All right. You heard it here first. We're never going to say out of left field anymore in this podcast. It's always, man, that came out of right field.
Yeah, that came out of the field. That came out of the field,
That came out of the field. That came out of center field. That really should be it, because it came the furthest.
There you go. Right. Deep center.
That came out of center field.
But whatever okay. So before we begin, as always, make sure you rate and review us on iTunes, everywhere you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you leave a wonderful review, and we'll read it on the podcast as well. Make sure you do that. But we, as always, have a mystery pitcher to announce, and I actually wonder. I gotta keep track of the ones that I've done, because I don't know. I do so many things with pitchers all the time. I don't remember if I've actually done this before. You'll let me know, everybody. Yell at me. But this pitcher,
I'll let you know,
has a 4-4 record, 81 innings this year, 2.89 ERA with a 1.19 WHIP, but just a 17.7% strikeout rate, 6.4% walk rate, 25% CSW, just a 91 and change fastball, low 8% swing strike rate. How are they getting this done? We don't know. Do you know who this pitcher is? I figured I'd find the hardest one I can think of this week, because I think I gave you some
is it
softballs.
that hard?
You think you know who this is?
I do think I know who it is, because it's a pretty stark difference to see that ERA with that.
But I feel like there are a lot of characters that this could be,
Yeah, there's a swath of characters that this could theoretically be, for sure. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, and Eric, if you want to put it on the screen, by all means, or John's, I should say. There we go. There's the lovely player page.
Oh, actually,
you should. By the way, everybody, these are our version of the sliders, the Statcast sliders. You should check them out on pitchlist.com and our glorious player pages. But yeah, I think this is a tough one. I'm curious. Twitch chat, let me know if you know who this pitcher is. But all right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna get straight to it.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go. This is the trade deadline podcast, and Fast made this glorious chart.
Yeah.
We don't even have a thing of the week this week. We're like, no, we're getting down to this, and it's trades. And let's get to the most important thing. Where is Soto going to go? And by Soto, I mean Giovanni.
That's good stuff. For some reason, I automatically thought Giovanni Ribisi in my head. I don't know
Oh
why.
wow, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I'm very excited to have this conversation because I think this is going to spiral in a lot of really fun and interesting ways. My take. So the way that we're breaking this down to is we're doing stay or trade, and then the team that we think they're going to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And while there are definitely more trades than there are stays, this is my first and like one of 3 stays. I don't know if a team is going to do it because I think if I'm the Nationals, I'm not going to balk at any price that's not the price that I'm asking for, right? You know what I mean? They are looking to, aptly so, redefine their farm system. And a team is looking to, the one important caveat that I think people aren't really talking about that's a part of this discussion is this is 2 years of Soto, right?
Yeah, right. 2.5.
2.5 years. 2.5 years of Soto. Because there's no guarantee that he resigns. Honestly, what I think is going to happen if they do trade him, I think the Nationals re-sign him and actually come out like bandits in 2.5
wow.
years. Because think about it. By then, a lot of their big money contracts are off the books. Their farm system is loaded, right? They are not going to have to pay a bunch of guys for a really long time, and they'll be able to afford a Soto contract. But I think for this, I don't know. I'm wondering if the Nats are going to say, "All right, we'll just take whatever the highest offer is," or if they're going to say, "You know what? No, we this is exactly what we want, and we're not going to balk here. If they're not going to give it to us, then we're not going to take it." So I'm going to go with that.
Okay. So first of all, maybe they're getting something from your lovely Orioles, you remember Manny Machado and how that unfolded. They should have been trading him earlier and they didn't, and then they wait so long, and then they got this weird deal from the Dodgers with just half a year left, and it makes a lot of sense to try and deal Soto now because not only, especially for a team like the Yankees, the Dodgers, even Brewers, who have been, they have that amazing pitching staff and should be in the fight for the NL Central for years. A lot of those kinds of teams where this is 2.5 years. This isn't just a quick chance. This is legitimately you can build this for 2.5 years around. I wonder if I wonder if the Nationals are going to try and play coy with it, but at the same time, this is the peak value, right? And whatever they do now with Soto, theoretically, they don't get more than this moving forward because it is 2.5 years, right? So if I am the Nationals, it's in my best interest to deal as much as possible. I would be really frustrated if I didn't get something great from it, but I would be surprised if they thought if we hold on to Soto, we'll get more later on. And I think a lot of teams are going to be in on this. So I think they're going to have someone to sell. I think also, the question then remains, okay, do they put in Patrick Corbin in the deal? Do they put in Steven Strasburg in the deal? And in an ideal situation, no, because then they get a better return. It's the question of like how much the Nationals just want to save money or not. And I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't do that because we want to see a huge blockbuster. You don't get that blockbuster unless unless they don't give away the money, right? Because then you just get more back. So, every team will be like, yeah, sure, we'll take the money for fewer prospects. I think in general, that's like, I think it generally a good deal, but owners are weird. Do you think that if the Nationals do trade Soto, that they'll be dealing Corbin and Strasburg or one of the two with them?
That's a great question. I wonder if they could do that to counter any theoretical deals that they don't. I wonder if they're not getting the value that they want to get. They're going to be like, fine, we're not going to take 5 top prospects. We'll take 4. But guess what? You're paying for Steven Strasburg. That might be tough though, because I don't know how that's going to work with like luxury because they still have to pay. Like Soto still is due a good chunk of change.
Oh yeah, right. Arbitration exists, right? He's going to get money.
Well, yeah, but doesn't he also have? Did he sign some sort of contract beforehand? Right?
Oh no, I don't know about that.
Maybe
On the
maybe I'm
spot,
crazy.
fast. All right, let me.
No. He isn't. He is an arbitration. But yeah, he made 17 million in
Nailed it!
arbitration. 17 million in arbitration last year. Theoretically, that could go down because he isn't having the kind of MVP caliber season that he's used to having.
Sure.
But yeah, maybe they could be able to do that. I mean, yeah, I'm curious to know, for those who are in the chat too, by all means, would love to hear where you think Soto would be going as well.
I mean,
For
I
those listening at the podcast too, you can join us every night while we stream live, be a part of the chat and talk with us as this is happening.
absolutely. We do this on Twitch Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time every week. Um, I think the Brewers are going to be in on this.
The
I
Booers?
really think that this is a really good window for them for the 2.5 years, exactly what you were talking about. They obviously need the offense help. I mean, they have the staff. Soto is that ticket, right? Burns,
Yeah.
Woodruff, Peralta coming back. Maybe Ashby turns into something too, but really just with Burns and Woodruff, you have a very legitimate push in the playoffs. You just need the offense to support it, and Soto is the prize. He is the main guy. You go and get that because in 3-4 years, who knows what that pitching staff looks like? Who knows what else is coming up? This is the move. This is the window. So I think that the Brewers are going to be hugely in play for this.
I don't know if they have the farm to be able to put together a package that's competitive enough to get
Would you deal
Soto.
Ashby?
Not after signing him for 5
I
years.
don't
They're
know.
clearly
I would rather. I mean, I would have rather have Juan Soto for 2.5 years than Aaron Ashby.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the way that they work. You know what I mean? Thinking about how they operate. And I don't know. I guess Ashby would have to be a part of it. They don't have a single prospect above a 50 grade.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, Ashby would be
so
in there, and I think that's something the Nationals would heavily consider, especially if you throw in like Corbin to be that 5 instead of Ashby or something like that, right? And then
yeah.
the pieces start coming together. Maybe then the Brewers go and get Jose Quintana. Who did I have? Did I have someone else in there? Nah, I don't think I did
Well,
for the
we'll get to
Brewers.
those
Yeah.
later. I think
Wait,
I'll also say
oh, I,
this.
I I did mention I did have it down though. Josh Bell being in that package for the
Oh, okay.
Brewers.
I think the other thing about Ashby too is like he would theoretically go to a team like I don't think the Nationals are ready for an Ashby because he's going to be elite possibly next year, and their window isn't opening for 3 to 4 years now. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, but you have
So
him on
I
a
don't.
5-year deal. The whole idea is that you get a guy like Ashby. This is early development guy, right? I
I
mean, this
guess, but
is
if they don't plan on being competitive for 3 to 4 years, why have an ace pitcher?
well, I mean, is Ashby an ace pitcher yet?
He has the potential to be.
Right, but then you have it for 5 years. It's not like he does it for, let's say he breaks out next year, which would be amazing. I'm not saying that that
Hmm.
will happen, but let's say he does. That just doesn't stop in 2024. I mean, he's super young. They'll have him locked up for 5 years. Why would
Yeah,
that's such a
sure.
valuable thing?
Yeah, I personally think they're thinking more long term, but it's a very valid thought for sure. All right, good. May these conversations be as good for all these. The next, these aren't really necessarily in order of the biggest, most impactful names, but this one obviously is a very big, impactful name. You and I both agree that Luis Castillo will be traded. Why don't you start with where you think Luis Castillo is going to end up?
Sure, I've pretty much assumed that all these guys get traded because theoretically they all should.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
that's essentially how I see it. Is teams I noticed that none of these guys are Colorado Rockies. So all of them will be traded, in other words.
Sure.
Uh, but Luis Castillo, it makes a lot of sense to me for him to be a Toronto Blue Jay.
Hmm.
The Jays need that one last guy. And they're
Yeah.
making a fantastic push. We all know how good that offense is. And maybe, maybe it isn't necessary for it to be Luis Castillo. You have Kevin Gausman and Alek Manoah leading the way there. Maybe Barrios is the guy that they want him to be for the playoffs. But, so it's not as big of a need as I think other teams. But it is Yusei Kikuchi at the very end. Ross Stripling, you don't know how long that's going to hold on for. And they need to ensure that they make it to the playoffs in the first place. It's been a fantastic run for the Jays, but it's not locked at this point.
Hmm.
Castillo would certainly be an addition. I would feel bad for Castillo. I believe it's another year on the contract. Could be wrong about that. But that would mean he'd be cold in Toronto. But it is a dome, so maybe that is better, actually. I don't know. I don't know if it's like the outside world affecting him too, of his environment
Yeah.
of the cold, if it's just the dome or not. All I'm trying to get at is Castillo is obviously a fantastic pitcher. The Jays, that's one of their weakest points, and it just makes all the sense in the world.
That would make sense too. I mean, that was my second guess. I had them. I had a tough time deciding. I think the other factor is while he hasn't been as much of a ground ball pitcher this year, overall he is right with like a got to be like a career like 55% ground ball rate or something like that. Both the Blue Jays and the team that I went with, the Cardinals, fantastic infield defenses according to outs above average. The Cardinals. You want to talk about another team that needs pitching help? I mean, they don't have anyone. There is no Kevin Gausman there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It literally, if you go to their roster resource page right now, it goes Adam Wainwright, Miles Michaelis, Andre Palante, and then even they're like, we're not putting a 4 or 5, thanks. They obviously have a chance to be extremely competitive, and doing, they have the offense for sure as long as there's no games in Canada, and it's tough. I think they need it. They have the farm that they could probably spare, some people. It's not an elite farm system, but it seems like there's enough there that they could move for Castillo. I think he'd be a good fit there. I obviously there's the question of like, does Cincinnati care about trading in division? But Luis Castillo, I think, is
He's
he like
arbitration next year, and
Yeah,
then
his
he
arb
becomes a
next year,
free
so
agent
it's
after the end of next season.
yeah. So yeah, I think he ends up in St. Louis. I think it would be a good fit there for
You
him.
know, I'm playing this game right now fast of praying. Like I feel like I'm watching the DVD logo on the TV as I'm hoping for your ring light to line up with your eyes as
With
you
my
talk.
eyeballs. It's
Yeah.
why I hate wearing glasses when it makes me feel like I'm like playing that level in Sonic where he runs up and down to try and get the rings, but I'm like, you know what I mean? It's when you collect the emerald and
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
That's what I always feel like that. And I hate it. I hate it. I know it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
You gotta get two of them. That's the trick. You have one on the left and one on the right, both going like this, so that you don't get reflections straight. Okay. Anyway, I something interesting I saw on Twitter today. Jacob at Cardinals Reek, um, said bottom six in whiff percentage this year among qualified starters, and whiff percentage being when a batter swings, how often they swing and miss. So the denominator is different than swing strike rate, which is total pitches. Number one is Adam Wainwright. Number two is Dakota Hudson. Number six is Miles Michaelis. Be kind of interesting to throw Luis Castillo into that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's very much not the Cardinals' MO. It does make sense given last year how good that Cardinals defense was, and it certainly has benefited Michaelis, but we've seen it. What was it about Paul Goldschmidt being the worst at first base all of a sudden?
Yeah, defensively, yeah.
Right. So it certainly has changed, but they do need that major guy with Jack Flaherty out of the question. I don't know if the Cardinals are the kind of team that to do that. You know, they've been that. What was the last like major in-season deal? I know the Nolan Arenado one. We're still like, how did that happen? And I don't honestly know. But or there's Paul Goldschmidt again. That was a sign in the offseason and trade and sign in the offseason. But this
Yeah.
blockbuster, at the deadline deal, maybe there is one that's I'm completely forgetting. Um, am I crazy in thinking like John Lester was a Cardinal at some point or something
No,
like
I
that?
mean, I think you did. You
What
did.
was it?
You're talking about trading for pitchers.
Pitchers or just some major hitter or something like that. And I feel as if the Cardinals
I
are just
mean, the
not that
Arenado
team.
Goldschmidt, yeah, they are
But
both
that was in the
significant
off season
trades.
though. Yes, but that was the Rockies being weird
They are
and
in on Soto allegedly.
everyone's in on Soda. Everyone's just saying, "Hey, what's up?"
That's
Make
true.
sure
Oh,
make sure
Chad
the
is bringing up Ozuna for Alcantara,
Oh, that's
Gallen, and
true.
Sierra.
But was that off season or was that mid season? I guess that was no, that was off season when the Marlins were selling everybody.
Hmm.
I'm thinking like at the deadline, but regardless of the facts, I don't know if they'll be the guys that really ultimately win at that one. I've seen chat talk about the New York Mets, obviously in discussion there. It's a
Yeah.
question of the depth of the Mets rotation. You have Tyler McGill, which I almost wore that shirt tonight. Jacob DeGrom should be coming back shortly. Taijuan Walker's been great. Carlos Carrasco's been great. Chris Bassett's there, and that's five. And I don't think the necessity of Luis Castillo is really what's holding back the Mets.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go for something, it's going to be a larger bat or just utility stuff or really honestly bullpen stuff, if
A
you ask
bullpen
me.
arm. Yeah.
Or, we'll talk about one I think is a very clear fit. I'm not even in the bullpen later on, I think. But
Yeah.
and actually you had a really good one. But I moving on, Andrew Benatendi has been someone that's been talked about a lot. And the big one is the one that you chose here.
Yeah. I mean, I said that he was going to go to the New York Yankees. I think there's the biggest fit there. I mean, I that seemingly was off the table when they found out about Benintendi's vac status and that he was not going to be able to enter the nation of Canada. And then just a couple of days ago, MLB Trade Rumors says the Yankees are theoretically back in on Andrew Benintendi. I mean, he's arguably the most one of the most appealing trade candidates out there because he's not going to cost the most in terms of
Sure.
prospects because he's a free agent next year. They have so much pop in that lineup as it is that I think what they're looking for is a kind of Hicks replacement,
Yeah, Brett
a guy that they
Gardner
can put in the outfield.
from 3 years
Benintendi,
ago.
not say it again.
Brett Gardner from 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. They're looking for a con. You know, he's obviously got great contact. You know, this year he's hitting 322, slashing 390, 401 with a 128 WRC plus. Even last year when he hit 276, he still had a 106 WRC plus. Aside from 2020, he's actually never had a WRC plus below 100. Like I said, I don't think they're going to mind that he doesn't have pop because that lineup is pop 1 through 8 already. So yeah, I think he's really kind of a really good fit for that team.
Absolutely. I saw actually a really interesting thing, and this is someone I have to include it now. I think it was on the Braves subreddit. They were talking about the Yankees, where they're expected to get Andrew Benatendi, which means that they would be wanting to deal Joey Gallo. And Gallo could be their Jorge Soler or their Eddie Rosario from last year. What do you think about that? I can
Um,
see it. I can honestly see it, you know? Like the Yankees would be a
yeah.
team that would get Benatendi and deal Gallo.
No, I think I was thinking about this. Did I even include Gallo on the sheet or did
You
I?
did.
No, I
You
did. He's at
said
the
that
very
he's going to
bottom.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that the first I was going to say that he was going to go, and I definitely thought that he was going to be packaged with someone, and I feel like he needs to get out of. Like, I honestly think it's just like being in New
Right.
York and
I
not being able to deal with
absolutely
the
agree
press
with
that's
that.
doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if. I mean, maybe he's owed $11 million for the rest of the year. Maybe if the Yankees are like, we'll eat his contract, then yeah, they would include him in that deal.
Sure.
Um, but he's not going to do like where he would fit. You know what I mean? A team would have to just be like willing to be like, fine, we got Joey Gallo for the rest of the year and whatever it is, what
Yeah.
it is. And maybe the Royals
Absolutely.
are
I mean,
willing to do
maybe the
that.
Brewers are like, whatever, we'll take a shot on this. We need some outfield help. Like,
Yeah.
just seeing why not, right?
Yeah.
And put it
Brewers is a
in,
good
and
fit.
yeah, and especially because it's Milwaukee, it's not New York, right?
Yeah. It's
Um,
Milwaukee's on New York, and that power is going to also play there as well.
and the thing is, if you look at think of the playoff lineup for the Yankees, can you imagine I don't know, the turmoil there would be if Joey Gallo was consistently getting at bats then, right?
No, I don't think it happens. I think
Right,
either he
exactly. So
stays and
then
gets
Vegas,
benched or
yeah, but then there's got to be somebody that takes him on. I like Arlos here saying deal Gallo for what, a number 2 at McDonald's. Oh man, unbelievable. No, you can do better than that. Okay, don't get the
What
number
is a
2.
number two? A number one's a Big Mac. A number four is a
VK is
double
saying
quarter
it's a
pounder.
quarter pounder with fries. There you go. As far as
No, that's a four. Oh, a four is a double quarter pounder. Four is a
I have
double quarter pounder.
no idea. Benatendi, I I have him as the Dodgers. I feel like the Dodgers are somebody who would get someone like Benatendi. They are so stacked at the moment, but they always make some deal for some depth somewhere. And it's just slowly and surely poaching all of the Red Sox players that beat them in 2018. So first you got Mookie Betts, now you got Benatendi, they got also Joe Kelly, I believe. It's just over time, just acquire all of them. David Price, I think too. Uh,
Sure.
and so I think Benatendi is the next one in line. It just makes a lot of sense to me. They have Gavin Lux sometimes going into the outfield. I feel like there's a fit there to be had, especially also with Chris Taylor being hurt. Less flexibility for them. I because they don't need to get like your Scherzer and Turner as they did last year. They just don't.
Mm-mm.
And I think it's just like little moves that the Dodgers are going to make. And I could very much include Benatendi.
I think that they end up doing this next move. I don't know if they end up sticking with offense. I think they try and package their prospects for pitching, and that's why while I'm a little on the fence with Frankie Montas because I don't know what's going. The health I think is going to be a big determining
Absolutely,
factor
yeah.
as to if he gets moved. I do think he could end up in LA. I mean, they need some help in that starting pitcher department right now, and I think he's one of the best starting pitchers available. Although
There's an
Tarek
argument to
Skubal
be made
does,
that we'll see what Andrew Heaney does, right? This is a very important week to see how
yeah,
Andrew Heaney performs. It's not just the start; it's the next one as well. With Frankie Montas, I got a comment. I'm saying, for fantasy purpose, don't start him because he only threw 53 pitches last time, and the Astros are the Astros. So it's what capped at 70 pitches or so. And somebody said, no, this is his showcase. He's gonna go out there and he's got to do it if he wants to get out of there.
mm,
And I don't know. I don't know if I buy that kind of approach with it for Frankie Montas. Also, I don't think Oakland needs to prove much, just that he's healthy. And I think pushing him too far might even turn some people away if there's any sort of fatigue or anything at the end of it. Just cash in 70 pitches and say, like, yeah, he's
yeah,
fine. He's stretched out and he's good. And I also understand that he has another year left. This isn't just a half a season thing. Frankie
yeah,
Montas
no,
goes through
yeah,
2023. So think again of a team that really needs it. And honestly, in the preseason, we were talking about Frankie Montas potential spots. Chicago White Sox for me. They are floundering. This is a division to win. The Guardians are not going to make the moves. They just don't. They still feel like they're going to be
yeah,
sellers or something crazy like that because it's the Guardians. I mean, the Twins would be a very good fit too. And there's someone else here that I think that they're going to go for instead, but it could be Montas. But the White Sox, I mean, you have three of Kopech, Giolito, and Lynn not looking at like their best. You have Dylan Cease, who's woken up, which is amazing, and then Johnny Cueto, and you cannot rely on this Johnny Cueto magic for the rest of the year. So Monta seems like such an obvious fit with the
yeah.
White Sox, but maybe the Twins as well. I think one of those two, it's going to be a battle between the two of them. And whoever gets the best pitcher, I think, takes the AL Central.
I wonder, the White Sox have like one of the worst farm systems in baseball, and I wonder if like Kopech would have to be a part of a deal.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense to me. I
yeah,
let him hit the reset button too. I would feel bad for Kopech in Oakland, but I guess that's a good pitcher's park. I don't know. It just feels like not a fun place to be at the moment.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one because I agree. Chicago is like they're 4 games back in the division. It's a very winnable division right now. Obviously, they just seems like they're just
Yeah.
perpetually getting bit by the
It,
injury bug, and their managers making terrible calls. But yeah, that might be an interesting fit for them. Um,
it's something to really note too is that this is a seller's market for pitching right now. You have
mm,
Castillo, you have Montes, and you have Malley. And that's about it. Is there anyone else I'm really forgetting here? You could say Tarek Skubal. You could say Jose Quintana, I think you have on this list. But there are a lot of teams that need someone. I see Chat is mentioning PJ Atlanta as well because Ian Anderson. Like, what are you doing there?
yeah,
Is it Kyle Muller coming up? They would love to have someone. So maybe Jose Quintana is a good fit for that. But there are just so many teams that are missing that number 4, number 5, and some teams are missing that number 2, right?
yeah,
I and that means that if you have one of these pitchers, you're gonna get a lot for them right now.
sure.
And I mean, you might see some like, oh yeah, not mentioned here is Martin Perez, and I think I'm just gonna throw that one at you now.
Mm,
I Martin Perez is actually, I think, the most perfect fit for the Jays because I
for the
don't think
Jays.
for the Jays because I don't think they need Luis Castillo like some other teams do. I mean, they have Gaussman and Manoa, and that's going to be your 1-2, and you're going to love that.
Mm,
And Barrios maybe is going to be that 30 number 3. You need just someone that's good and fine that is not going to cost everything. And Martin Perez, we don't buy this first half, but I mean, his last game, he deserved to have success. Amazing changeup command, good locations of cutters and sinkers on opposite sides of the plate, right? Martin Perez, I'm very curious to see who gets that discount.
yeah, that's a good point. That's arguably another guy who could. I mean, he's a free agent and he's only owed $4 million this year. Like it's there could be a lot of he could have a bigger bidding war on him than we anticipated. He, if we're pivoting to him real quick, I mean, I feel like he's another guy that I kind of put in the Quintana field where I think he goes to either Atlanta or Cleveland.
Mm,
Cleveland could be an interesting thing because it is such a boring, like the old boring veteran might help them out a little bit, right? That kind of solidified number 4 spot. For me, Atlanta made sense because at this point, like, let's have a guy help us get Mike
Yeah.
Soroka need to where he needs to get, and just have a guy who's going to help us win games as a number 4, number 5. Maybe he could be the guy who starts game 1 of a series if we're burnt out from the series before and keep us competitive. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he is an interesting person. Yeah.
Yeah, some other ones that I do want to mention, I will in a moment, but first, we have to take a quick break. Guys, you don't know this. It's really funny. Fast and I play this game of who remembers the ad break first.
I think you're undefeated on this one.
No, you've certainly. I mean, for the past week or two, as I write it down for later. But all right, here we go. And there are some other interesting names. Oh, no, not gonna do it like that. I'm gonna come back like that. So as I was mentioning, there's some other interesting names. There's also Merrill Kelly to consider with the Diamondbacks.
Mm,
There's Noah Syndergaard with the Angels.
mhm.
And of course, Dallas Keuchel is going to be the biggest one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, of course.
But it's interesting. I think we might see some surprise teams getting into the mix because there's such a demand for a quality number 4 at this point. We're just
Yeah.
somebody to give them innings and let them survive through September and be in the race. As you mentioned, Atlanta, even the Padres. I don't know, but they just
Mm,
lost Mackenzie Gore. Nick Martinez is someone that they're trusting. Flakes now goes in and out. They might want one more piece just in case,
yeah.
something doesn't go awry, and this is going to be a very interesting week. You can even make an argument that John Gray could get a pretty penny with 3.5 years on a somewhat, generous contract. About what is it, 18, 16 million a year? I think it's
Sure.
16. So you can make a case for that too. There's a lot of things that can happen.
Martin Perez actually is, now that I think about it, too, another good fit. Sorry, I just refreshed the MLB standings and see Baltimore in 4th place, and it just brings such warmth to my heart. I mean, really, it just brings such incredible warmth to my tired, weary soul.
It's
I don't
always
know
like
how
those
we have a
moments when you
tiebreaker.
when you look at your fantasy team on like April 15th, you're like, oh, I'm in first, and just like
Yeah, it's beautiful.
capture that whenever you can.
Martin Perez might be a good fit for the Cardinals. Kind of
Oh yeah,
another old,
that's
boring vet. Yeah,
absolutely. Without a
yeah.
doubt.
I'm
And
gonna.
of course, PJ's mentioning all the Marlins guys. They said everyone's on the table except Sandy Alcantara. So Pablo Lopez,
Yeah.
we've been talking about it for ages, but you gotta think he's on the move too.
Yeah, you got to think he's on the move as well. So it was another pitcher who's our next one that we wanted to discuss a little bit more in depth, and that's Tyler Mahle. To me, I think he is going to be traded, and I think that's the person that the New York Yankees end up reaching out for. I don't know why. I think Matt Blake might be able to take him and work wonders with him. Maybe they're scared because I don't know if that park suits him best, considering the woes that he had in Cincinnati. But I don't know. I think they're going to go with Mahle.
There's two things at play here. One, as you mentioned, the home park.
Mhm.
Even though I think the Yankees are, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I was reading something the other day about how the Yankee home park is not as bad as it used to be. I don't know.
Okay.
But for Tyler Mahle, I feel like the Reds are gonna butcher this.
Oh,
I don't have faith in Cincinnati. I don't know why. I just feel, they haven't done good things with the Castillo. Like they should have traded him in the offseason. They didn't. And there's another guy you mentioned later on, Brandon Drury, that I think should be dealt to. But
yep.
I don't know if the Reds are, they might just hold on to this, right? They might just play their cards later. I think they should be selling. I think the Twins is the best fit personally. The Twins need something. They really, really,
Yeah.
really do. And
Yeah.
Mahle is not going to cost Castillo or Montas or Pablo Lopez money, but or assets. But Mahle should be a big boost to them. He's a step up above the Quintana's, Martin Perez, Perez's, and so on and so forth. So I think Mahle is the perfect fit for the Twins. Um, and I mean, the Yankees could go after this. I don't think the Yankees need to. I mean, sure, the Yankees are like, no, that's the last piece of the puzzle. Offense is the greatest thing ever. We just lost Severino for a while. We don't know what we're going to get there.
Hmm.
Cortez is not going to last. Jordan Montgomery just got lit up tonight by the Mets. Cole hasn't even been as consistent. I mean, it does feel like the Yankees could win the World Series in a week if they get Juan Soto and a Pablo Lopez or something like that, right?
Forget
just
Juan Soto
what
and
the
Pablo
feeling would be.
Lopez. They
That's
have no
insane.
farm.
Right.
They have no farm. Like, it's crazy.
Right, but it's like why need farm when I have World Series?
I
Right?
love
And
that. Why need farm? I have World Series.
yeah. Why need farm when World
Have World
Series do
Series.
trick? So I look, that's kind of what I see, and I think we've also taken note that the Dodgers have showcased like, yeah, just give away some prospects and get that stuff, guys, and like do amazing things, you know?
Yeah.
I think the Yankees are in this really interesting position where they could absolutely seize everything. But
Um,
I don't know.
Yeah, we've got a few more to get through because they're all very exciting. So we might end up taking a majority of the time talking about this, which is good. It's the
It's the
trade
trade show,
show. Come,
baby.
it's a trade show. It's a trade show. Come test our wares. It's the trade show. The next one, obviously, of course, very near and dear to my heart. But we'll start with you. You see Trey Mancini getting traded. Where do you see him going?
I don't really know. I feel like Trey Mancini is an Atlanta player just in by heart and soul.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I I I I can't. I wanted to put like the Brewers for everyone. Any hitter, just the Brewers. They need it. And Trey Mancini could be a good fit for that. He could be a Dodger. Um,
Yeah,
I put Atlanta. You put the Brewers. So clearly we're on the same page
yeah.
there.
Atlanta's tough for me to see solely because I think they already have a DH in Ozuna, and I don't think they ever want him to see, a lot of playing
Sure,
time in the field again, even though he does
that's a
play in
very
left
good
field.
point.
And then, of course, you've got Olsen already. Um, I think that he does go to the Brewers solely because he has the largest need there. Right now, they're perpetually DHing Andrew McCutchen, who actually isn't terrible. I think he's hitting like 255. He's not god awful, but he is their DH right now. Rowdy Roddy Tellez is their platoon first baseman. Tellez is kind of already Mancini light. He's got the power, doesn't have the batting average, although Mancini's been struggling a little bit recently. But with that said, I think with the positional flexibility that, ostensibly you get from Mancini, and that you could put him in right field when you need to, even though he's probably going to be a first baseman DH. I think he could fit in well there. That way you have Andrew McCutchen pop in whenever you need to rest Hunter Renfroe or Tyrone Taylor, or Christian Yelich. And then you have, Mancini coming as your everyday 1B, or your DH. I think he's a good fit there and could mash a lot in that stadium.
Yeah, I like that one too. Speaking of Atlanta, I'm not speaking of Atlanta. I see Contreras and I think of his brother, but Wilson Contreras.
Mm.
I think this is a perfect fit for the Mets.
Mm.
Um, and Nito is just hurting that offense so much. And if you want to talk about a team that needs a catcher, we also heard about how McCullers really loves Martin Maldonado in Houston.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the right one, but it makes a lot of sense as far as just offensive production. But the Mets just seem, yeah, this is the get you should make.
Yeah, the Mets is a really good call. Houston, I was looking a little bit earlier. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. By team, who has the lowest amount of productivity from the catcher position
Oh,
right
that's great.
now?
Yeah.
And by WAR, it's Houston. They are one of 6 teams with a negative WAR from the catcher position. Honestly, the Mets not very far behind. They have a 0 WAR from the catcher position, but they have a negative .07. Now, there are a lot of things that aren't being brought into the conversation there, but the Astros catchers collectively are slashing 159,
Oh dear.
230,
Okay. Yeah,
300.
you can stop right there. All right.
That's
Uh
unbelievable.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously it's not the rotation that the Astros would need help in. As they are looking dandy to say the least
Mm,
there. Man,
yeah,
is it going to be a Yankee Astro ALCS once again? I mean, I feel like if the Yankees are going to do anything, they have to, it's like the trajectory of any team, right? They always need to get over the hump before they can become like the dynasty team, right? The Astros
sure.
are that team. Sorry, I'm just projecting here. It's going to be the Blue Jays. We all know this, guys.
They're my pick.
There you go. Moving on here to Tarek Skubal. You see the Giants going for it.
I do. I do. So Tarek Skubal, this was interesting, right? Because he came on the trade block today. Detroit said everyone is available. There isn't anyone who is not available right now.
Right.
And Tarek Skubal, I think I know that the Giants like a good amount of sliders. I remember seeing that report that in the farm system, it was like guys were throwing like 70% sliders all of the time. The Giants have actually started to fall out of the race a little bit, and I think they need a little bit of help. And while Wood has been very good, I think Tarek Skubal can immediately slot into a really consistent number 3 from them in that park. Clearly, even if he goes behind Wood, they need a little bit of help between Cobb and Junis right now. So yeah, I mean, maybe they get Matthew Boyd at some point in the year. God knows what you're going to get there. Tony Disco obviously had that ankle surgery. So I don't know. I think they could be a fun kind of surprise player. And that just seems like a guy that, even though I trust Chris Fetter and the great work that he's been doing with the Detroit rotation, I don't know. I just see him kind of going into that ballpark and just finding more consistency and shoving.
You want to hear something that's kind of crazy? I think we all know really right now when it comes to the playoffs, the Mets are winning the NL East. Atlanta's likely, very likely to be a wild card play. You have the NL West of the Dodgers and Padres, both very likely to make it, but Dodgers more so. Padres, 85%, there's a chance that they could fall off. In the NL Central, it's between the Brewers and the Cardinals, one of them to win it. You might be surprised to hear that the Phillies have a 42% chance, according to Fangraphs, to make the playoffs, and the Giants a 34. And I do wonder if the Phillies could be making a move because, I mean, what is that rotation? They still have Bailey Falter going.
Yeah.
And Tarek, again, being part of that crew of not the elites. They don't really need it. They got Nola, they got Wheeler. They're okay at the top. They just need that number 3, Kyle Gibson, Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez is getting whiffs on the changeup again and has this cutter. It's kind of interesting, and I hope it works out for him. But they need something here. And this is, again, a very telling week with the Giants, with the Phillies. If they have a losing streak this week, it could be huge. And in some cases, I remember this for myself in 2015 for the Yankees, actually 16. I wanted the Yankees to lose in that last week. I knew we weren't going to make it to the World Series. I knew we weren't going to make that push. And I wanted it to be a situation where we were definitively out so that we could invest in the future. Uh, it will be very interesting to see what the Phillies and Giants do. If the Giants are out of it, I mean, you could get rid of a lot of these guys. Alex Wood, you can be getting rid of Carlos Rodon. You could be selling Cobb even. I mean, there's a lot of deals to be made there, and that could also turn the Giants into a very interesting team next season. So I'm curious about that with Tarek Skubal. For me, I have him down for the Yankees. I think the Yankees could use that lefty help. I mean, if Jordan Montgomery falters or Nestor Cortez does, then all of a sudden they have Skubal. I think also Skubal is someone that you're talking about Blake fixing. He feels like right up their alley. I would be so thrilled to see Skubal in New York. But then again, you want to talk about home run stuff, and maybe that's not it. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens there. We are running out of time already. Look at this. It's already 10:43. We've still got more interesting guys to talk about. I mean, as I mentioned, Syndergaard, where do you see him landing?
Man, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's really going to want to take the risk on it right now. Maybe if he's free, but I don't know. I don't know if I see him having a market really.
None at all.
I don't know. Why would you want a kind of reclamation project that hasn't looked consistently great?
It's been fine because teams need someone at the end of their like the Phillies don't want Bailey Falter.
I know, but I mean, like, obviously Syndergaard much more upside than Bailey Falter, but is as a number 5 in the rotation. I guess it depends on what the cost is. If it's virtually
right,
free,
it's not. It's not, I wouldn't imagine the Angels would ask for. Not. I mean, it's a case of like you have Syndergaard on I believe a 1-year deal, and you're not going to make the playoffs, Angels. So might as well get something for this. You're gonna see a lot of deals like that, and the Phils will be like, yeah, sure, we'll take a chance on a Syndergaard. That would make a lot of sense. So we'll see what happens there. Moving on here, though, I really liked this one from you. Is JD Martinez. We talked about Jose Quintana and Josh Bell already, but JD Martinez, I think you found a really good fit for him.
Yeah, JD Martinez was kind of like so originally Trey Mancini was, he still is very linked to the Mets, and that seems like it's the biggest rumor, and it seems like it's probably just something that's going to happen at any given time. But JD Martinez, we found out today, could theoretically be on the block. Obviously, Boston now in fifth place in the AL East. I could say that all day. And at 500, no way. Obviously, they're catching the Yankees as they're 17 behind, and then they're still in the wild card hunt. I mean, at the moment, they're 3.5 out of the wild card. Anything could happen there. But with the injury concerns that they have with both Devers and Sale, you figure Martinez is on the block. If the Mets can't get Mancini, and knowing Cohen's ability to not mind paying if it's going to benefit the team, I don't think it would be insane to have them pick up the 20 million contract of JD Martinez. It's a little bit more expensive, obviously, than Trey Mancini. Maybe he's thinking we already got Daniel Vogelbach, and we probably don't need to have a Daniel Vogelbach with better contacts and more money. Or maybe he thinks, okay, we'll move Dom Smith in a part of this deal. Maybe we'll get Boston to eat a little bit of the contract, and we'll have our permanent DH who's going to take us into the playoffs. I think he could be a good fit in New York for the
You just
blue and
love JD
orange.
Martinez. I don't know what it is. I just want to hear you talk about him more. If you guys don't know, it'd be kind of fitting, actually. It'd be like every second and third round of Alex fantasy teams is what the Mets would be, as that would be Starling Marte and JD Martinez.
Never goes
I,
wrong.
I mean, sometimes, but
Sometimes.
but anyway, I have.
Actually, this year I didn't, and I'm in last. Sorry, go on.
I think that your Zelda had a little bit to do with that.
Yeah,
The young child, she's wonderful. Yeah, JD Martinez to the Mets, I think was just such a good one that I said the Cardinals, but honestly, I don't know. I just felt the Cardinals needed to do something, but I think the Mets are honestly the one that should be getting him. Maybe the Brewers again. Um, Reliever talk. I
Yeah.
think Fulmer is going to be paired with Tarek Skubal somewhere, and I think
Oh,
that's
that's a really good
part
point.
of it. I think it's part of the Yankee idea here. You just lost Michael King for the year, and Fulmer could fill in that void a little bit. I think the Yankees have been trying to, I don't know, have an eye on Fulmer for a while. Maybe I'm thinking the
Mm.
Mets, but no, I think I am thinking of Fulmer. Um, and pairing that with Tarek Skubal to the Yankees could be interesting. Do you think he's going to get traded? And if so, where?
That's a good question. I think the Yankees is an interesting idea. I wonder if they're just like, oh, he throws 91. Nah. You know what I mean? Even though I do think he is a very valuable reliever this year, and I do think he is going to be on the move. I mean, he's got, he doesn't really throw it too often, but he does have 3 pitches over 10% swinging strike rate. Like I said, doesn't go to the four seam and the changeup too often, but the sinker slider combination has been, very, very good for him this year, most notably that slider. So I think he could be on the move. I saw him going to the Blue Jays. I think they need some additional bullpen help, and he seemed like he could be a good fit there. But the Yankees pairing with Skubal is actually a really good idea.
And David Bednar, you think he's just going to stay with the Pirates?
I wonder if the Pirates just botch it, or I wonder if, considering
right.
how much control they have over David Bednar, because I think he's there for years. Yeah, he doesn't even enter. He's not even arbitration eligible until 2024.
Right, but relievers you don't really know, and you do want to
Yeah,
seize the moment with them. There's no
yeah.
way he goes to Yankees because they're already sending requests for backsies on Clay Holmes,
Mm.
and they don't want to do that again. So I think I don't think you're going to see him there. But I mean, every team needs relief help, and why not deal Bednar if you're the Pirates? Honestly, I'm very much in the feeling of go deal the relievers that would get anything, because you just don't know. You just don't know what they're
Yeah,
going to be in a year or two.
yeah. That's a good
Um,
point.
David Robertson, I mean, a little bit different on the other side of the career spectrum. You're saying he's going to get dealt. It seems pretty obvious in the Cubs. Sure, why not? Ian Happ could be in this conversation too. I, but I, Milwaukee Brewers is. I see who you put down. Why the Brewers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just further solidifies an already fantastic bullpen. I mean, they've already got a nice 1, 2, 3 with Boxberger, Williams, and Hader, and I think this shortens games even more if they need to. The playoffs is obviously going to be all about shortening games, and they're going to have to do so if it's not Burns or Woodruff that they're facing. Eric Lauer obviously not fantastic. Ashby, I mean, best game of the
Ashby's going
year
to
last
show up for
night.
4 pitches, I think, and then get pulled. The good old Wade Miley in the playoffs.
Oh God! Oh my God! I mean, if you guys haven't watched it too, you should watch Nick's 7-hour breakdown of Aaron Ashby last
It
night.
was 48 minutes, all right, but it was
It was beautiful.
111 pitches, and I think
It was beautiful.
actually it was very helpful for me,
It was
because
beautiful.
I question if the breakout truly is coming for Aaron Ashby, but you should watch it. You can watch it in
It
like
was
1.5 or 1.75 speed. Don't worry, just
It
do
was very
that.
good. It was very
Oh, thank you,
informative. I
Fast.
am perpetually blown away by your ability to properly track the ball with your pen
Me
before
too,
it's been
man.
thrown.
I
That's
am so
unbelievable.
amazed of like
That's
I think it's
unbelievable.
gonna go here, and it just always follows it.
You drew the sinker shape in the first inning on. It was actually like awe-inspiring.
Can I do that for overlays for you? Is there a way I can like
That's all they
translate that
are.
to it? Yeah.
That's all overlays are. It's just that. That's all they are. Um, the last one that we should hit on real quick is Brandon Drury, who's been a man
Mm.
possessed. I originally wanted to say what you said, which is like, man, I just don't like the Reds need to do it, but like, do I
But
trust the
what?
Reds to
Yeah,
get
I
it
don't know
done?
if I do, man.
Yeah. I also wonder if he's a guy that's like a Jesse Winker last year, where it's like the if a lot of front offices are like, sure, he's got a 132 WRC plus and he's hitting, he's hit 19 homers so far, but he's also playing in Cincinnati because he had similar numbers last year in New York, and though he got far fewer plate appearances. I mean, yeah, he had 4 home runs and 88 plate appearances, but still, I don't know if teams are necessarily going to buy it. With that said, I do think he is going to end up getting traded. I want like the team that we haven't talked about at all is the Mariners.
Well,
Um,
sure.
and
Their playoff
you know
odds
him.
right now. Yeah, actually, you're right. 68% currently on Fangraphs projection of it. Yeah, I wonder. I mean, you would think that would be a team that needs a starter more than anything.
Totally.
Um,
They
but
could use a Drury to spell Adam Frazier and Eugenio
sure,
Suarez. He's got he's a nice utility player. He's had
he's
games
just a really
ever
nice
at.
guy too. You know.
He's a good guy. He's actually had games at first, second, third, and short this year.
I know my fantasy
Mostly
team
so at
loves it.
third. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. But yeah, it is kind of funny. Of all those starting pitchers that we've talked about, who would you see the Mariners making a play for?
I mean, Marco Gonzalez has to shake his friend Martin Perez. Like they're the same guy to me.
Hmm.
So
Martin Perez
uh,
is interesting.
that seems like the most Mariners thing, as Seattle writers and fans have to justify it endlessly, and I feel so bad for them because they just want something to get excited about. They should probably
Yeah.
get Eric Bernard. But I
Eric Bedard,
yeah.
the old Adam Jones trade.
But I actually think I wanted to mention David Robertson. I would absolutely love if the Yankees got him. Just reunite,
Just to come back.
just to come back, and they need something, and just that'd be so poetic and lovely. I want Houdini
Recreate
to
the
do one
greatest,
more magic trick.
the greatest gif ever, the noodle David Robertson giving up that home run.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his reaction to a foul ball to Gary Sanchez, and
Oh,
but he had the noodle of like the back turning. Yeah.
oh, it's the best. It's really the best. Nick, we probably have time for one more. No,
We
I
can
guess
do this.
come
We
on.
can quickly. We're Eric. Sorry, we don't. I know you don't have any questions this week. You got none. I, you just know everything this week, and I'm proud of you for that. Um, but let's do the images of the week really quickly.
Okay.
Alex, what is your image of the week?
My image of the week is a very sad photo that was of um, Ian Happ hugging Wilson Contreras at the end of this game in Chicago that happened today. Likely going to be the last home game for both of those players in Chicago. And, it's so funny. We talk about these pitchers. And we have an entire 45-minute podcast about them, and we clearly forget sometimes that they are human beings whose lives are about to be
What Alex
upended.
thinks fast doesn't exist? Yeah, there it is.
Alex Think
Oh,
Fast is here, but there is actually one other image that I do have that I'm going to pivot to. I'm going to send it to Eric right now, and you do yours in that time.
oh wow. Okay. Mine is this completely different side of the spectrum. Just about. I mean, yeah, there are humans, and there are relievers trying to pass the time. And this is the Pirates bullpen growing banana peppers in their bullpen.
That is so good.
I adore this so much. I've always I've heard people say like would be best show would be a someone covering a bullpen, what it's like being inside the bullpen. I think honestly the pen have one of the features also be a novelist and
Oh,
writing about it. And I think
lovely,
that would
very
be such
lovely.
a clever show to do. You can also I would hope I was always a little disappointed about oh man, and I can't remember the name. A pitch, I believe it was, whereas she was throwing a screwball, but should have been a knuckleball. And I would love to have a character that would throw a knuckleball. But anyway, I just love this. This is just like the oddities of yeah, you know it's boring, guys. It's boring being in the bullpen for a baseball
Yeah.
game where nothing's going on, and you gotta do something to pass the time. And I love that they have banana peppers inside the bullpen. So there you go.
Eric,
What
do we
is the
have
other
time
one
to
you
get?
got?
Yeah, do we have time to get the other one up there? I sent it to you very, very last minute. So if you
We
don't have
can
time
we
to,
can
he's gonna have it up.
in the meantime,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna do wild thoughts because we only got like
Okay.
5 minutes left really quickly. You gotta talk about the World Series.
Wait,
Oh,
it's
here we
here.
go. It's here. What is it? Aww.
Last night it was daddy-daughter night because Chris went out. I gave Zelda a nice little Pacifico. I put the Mariners-Rangers game on, and we just watched some baseball, and I got my baby hammered. I got her hammered on some
I love
Pacifico. She was living the dream, 3 months old, getting started. Look
she's
at that.
wonderful. Good old Zelda.
She's thinking, why is Otto throwing that pitch? Anyway, yeah, I'll send you the video later, Nick. It's very cute. But
Please
go
do.
ahead. What is your wild thought for the week?
So wild thoughts. I think we should get back to the original rules of baseball. And I don't actually believe this, so I think it'd be interesting. If you remember, the whole idea was to throw a pitch that people can hit and not try to avoid it, which is my favorite part of the game. So, what if we instituted a rule that you have to throw at least 60% of your pitches denoted as a fastball by StatCast? You cannot go underneath 60%. If you do, let's say a run scores for the other team for every inning or so. And it's essentially with a minimum, with at least 10 pitches thrown in the inning, at least 6 of those 10 need to be a fastball. I think it'd be really interesting about when do you throw the secondary stuff? Do you throw them on the 10th pitch? Do you throw them on the 9th pitch? Do you throw all the 6 fastballs in a row so then you can do whatever you want for the final 4 or so? I think it would add a lot of interesting strategy to it and theoretically would reduce strikeouts in the game. Unless you're Spencer Strider, who threw I think I checked in and saw 85% fastballs and it didn't matter.
And still had an amazing night. Yeah. I dig that. I want to take that and I'm going to add it to mine, which is let's just have the All-Star game broken up into a bunch of 1-inning rules. So, for example, that's a rule. 70% of the pitches in that inning have to be
hate the All-Star game, man. You hate it.
I went this year, and there were definitely moments like the Andres Jimenez double play was a lot of fun to watch. But I just kept thinking, wouldn't it be so hilarious if we did? Everyone there wanted the game to be tied so they could watch the home run derby. Right. So then just do it. Oh, yeah. The 4th inning is the home run derby, and whoever wins gets a run. You know what I mean? That's fine with me. The 1 inning, a position player gets to pitch. 1 inning, a fan gets to hit. Or if you want to keep it to just the players in the field, mix it up a little bit, change the rules per inning, make it a little more backyard. That to me would be a lot of fun because it speaks to the game. Doesn't matter. It's already just an exhibition. At this point, let's just make it more fun. Let's just make it hilarious.
This is a fantastic thought. I'm for it. I just like the fact that you wrote it as herd instead of home run derby in the notes.
Oh, HRD.
It's just replaced by herd. And I'm like, okay, that's a little aggressive.
That's how you refer to it in the biz, baby. The HRD.
All right, we have 2 minutes left. I think that's a great one. Fast. Who is going to win the World Series this year?
We do it every week. The teams we cannot choose are the Marlins, Orioles, Brewers, Mets, Guardians, Braves, Mariners, Astros, and Yankees. This week for me, it is going to be the San Diego Padres. They are going to win the World Series. You mentioned a few weeks ago they don't get enough love, and they still don't get enough love. 9th best ERA, 11th best FIP in baseball, just from a rotation perspective. I still think the rotation is more deep than you would anticipate. Musgrove Darvish can be a great 1-2 punch in the playoffs. They do have 3 question marks between Manaea, Snell, and Clevenger. That could theoretically be one of those could be a good number 3 in the playoffs for them. Top ERA, top 10 ERA, and top 11 FIP among relievers too. Obviously, you're getting that MVP caliber season out of Manny Machado. We already talked a little bit about how Jerks and Profar are one of the best players in all of baseball.
Guess who hit BP today? Fernando Tatis.
Fernando Tatis getting back one of the best
Oh,
players in all of baseball. I don't
yes.
know, man. They are still very much in the thick of it right now. They have a 3-game lead on the wild card right now, and you look at the division. I think they're still they're 11 games behind the Dodgers, so that's probably not going to happen. But they're still going to get that wild card spot. You never know what's going to happen. They're going to be my team this week, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely dig it. I just want the Dodgers Padres rivalry to be back. That was some of the best baseball I've ever seen in the past 5 years. I want that back. But that's going to do it for today. Thank you all so much for joining us for the trade show here at the Nick and Alex Baseball Show. I am your host, Nick Pollack.
And I am Alex Fast. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye bye now.